The best of the Morning X.
99X.
Hooray for Hollywood, that Holy Super Coney Hollywood. They come from Chillicothe and Paducas with their bazookas to get their names up in line.
Hey.
All armed with motos from local rotos, with their hair in ribbons and legs in tags.
Fame and fortune may await you, and it may be just inside your brain and you haven't got it out yet. Let's go to Hollywood, talk to Robert Cosberg. Robert, how are you, sir?
Very good. How are you?
Robert's an idea man.
That would be like the proper term for you, right? You're an idea guy.
Well, that's what people say.
Who are like some of the big studio heads with whom you've met?
Well, I've met with all of them. When you're in Hollywood, you have to meet with everybody. But Sherry Lansing at Paramount is well known. Jeff Katzenberg is well known at DreamWorks.
Wow. Eisner,
not very often. But he's more of a chairman of the board type than a studio head, which is those kind of guys don't sit down and listen to idea guys that often. Though maybe they should once in a while, but they don't.
Who's the biggest ball buster? You know, you go in and you're very intimidated by them because this is power. You know.
Well, they all are attempting a little bit to be intimidating, but I don't think any of them are ultimately intimidating because you go in there and you feel, at least I do, you go in there and you feel like you know as much as they do, if not more. That's the one good thing about Hollywood. Everybody's really equal because William Goldman, the screenwriter, has the most famous line about Hollywood, which is that nobody knows anything.
How did you land this job?
Well, it's the kind of job that everybody wants because everybody thinks they can do it. It's sort of like why everyone thinks they can be a writer because they know how to write letters home to their mom.
Right.
Everybody thinks they can be an idea person because they have an idea, but there's one flaw in that. Everybody does have an idea. Everybody has bad ideas. Very, very few people have good ideas.
Yeah, a lot of them are on screen right now, playing in a theater near you.
But you must have hit a couple of slam dunks in order to build credibility.
You build a reputation based on selling lots of ideas as you move around Hollywood as a person who, in Hollywood terms, pitches projects. In other words, goes on meetings and basically verbally tells bedtime stories to adults. I mean, that's sort of the cliche. I go around town and I tell stories.
And what's your quickest pitch that you've ever, I'm sure you've had movie pitches that have been one line.
Yeah, a lot of one-liners. We sold a project called Man's Best Friend, a story about a crazy dog that got loose on Los Angeles. And we sold that to New Line Pictures by pitching it as Jaws on Paws.
Jaws on Paws.
And I got better than that. I got a little better a few months later, and I reduced it from one sentence down to one word. I went into Disney and I sold Monopoly. Basically, just turning the board game Monopoly into a movie was the idea, and we just pitched the one word, Monopoly.
What's your biggest slam dunk that has already been on screen?
Well, most of your audience would know the movie 12 Monkeys with Brad Pitt and Bruce Willis.
Right.
I was the executive producer of that. A producer named Chuck Roven actually produced it. But to go to Paris and convince a filmmaker who doesn't speak English, a man named Chris Marker, to give us the rights to do a remake of his very sort of esoteric little French film and bring it back to Hollywood and turn it into a big commercial remake that eventually attracts Bruce Willis and Brad Pitt. That was quite a success story. The movie did very well in America, very well in Europe, and is rated among most science fiction fans as one of the best science fiction films ever made. Directed by Terry Gilliam, who's a real cult science fiction favorite.
Although that
was a big success.
But when you talk about pitching ideas, I mean, anybody can go in and say, okay, a remake of.
Sure.
But I mean,
right.
so was that your idea, the remake?
Yeah, anybody can go in and say a remake of, but you have to be able to demonstrate to the studio that you can get the rights to do that remake. If you walk into a studio and say, let's do a remake of the Mod Squad, which the Mod Squad's coming out in a few months,
right?
You have to be someone who has access to the rights to the original Mod Squad. The producers I know who were able to get the rights through Aaron Spelling, and they had a relationship to Aaron Spelling. They knew that he controlled the television show. They were the ones who were able to get the feature off the ground. I walked into Ben Stiller's office, and I basically held up a poster, a mock-up poster, and I said, whatever happened to the Hardy Boys? And then I turned the page, and there was a picture of Jim Carrey and Nick Cage, and it said, they grew up, meet the Hardy Men. So that was the idea. What if someone did the Hardy Boys as grown-ups?
I love that.
Nobody ever thought of it. I mean, that's what's a good idea. A good idea is one where you say, I like that. I never thought of it.
So now, how are you opening this up to people across America to get involved and making some jack like you?
Well, I realized that, I can't come up with all the best ideas. I can come up with some good ideas, and no one person comes up with great ideas every day. And since people were sending me letters and ideas anyway, just through the old-fashioned mail, or contacting me through the old-fashioned telephone, it occurred to a friend of mine, Jim Bass, to start WW Pitch. How do we describe it?
It's
you have the address there,
moviepitch.com.
Moviepitch.com, right. So we started moviepitch.com, which allows people, over the internet to contact us. There's a whole set of sort of the rules or the policy of the way it's done so that everybody's protected legally.
Mm-hmm.
But basically it allows people who think they have the next great idea for Hollywood to contact us over the internet. We read every single idea that's submitted, and I literally get ideas every day, everywhere from Iceland, New Zealand, Hawaii, and there's no way to know where the next good idea is going to come from. People who don't live in Hollywood oftentimes have the best ideas.
Now,
they're not jaded, they're not cynical, and they're
Sure.
not trying to copy what they think Hollywood needs, which is what a lot of writers do.
Now, take us back for a minute. When you pitch an idea, do you have like a flat fee per idea?
No, every deal is different. When I walk into a studio and I pitch your idea, let's say this morning, one of you surprisingly has a great idea.
That would be surprising. Yeah.
No cynicism intended, but it's hard for everybody, truthfully, to come up with a great idea. It's sort of like looking for needles in haystacks. In fact, there's that famous cliche, ideas are a dime a dozen. Someone should revise that. Bad ideas are a dime a dozen. Good ideas are one in a million.
Oh, you've been in our sales meeting. Yeah.
You won't believe where this is headed. More after a quick break. This story isn't over. You're on the best of the Morning X on 99X.
Hey, I'm Chris Van Vliet, host of the #1 podcast, Insight with Chris Van Vliet. On the show, I sit down with the biggest names in pro wrestling, sports, film, and beyond. These are real, long-form conversations that go behind the scenes and beyond the headlines with people like John Cena, The Undertaker, Cody Rhodes, and more. We talk mindset, motivation, and what it takes to succeed. This is Insight with Chris Van Vliet. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.